After conquering Egypt in 331 BC, Alexander the Great decided to build a great nation, which, as per his habit, he named it after himself. Also called the Bride of the Mediterranean by locals, the fourth largest city in the Arab world and the ninth largest urban area in Africa. The city extends about 40 kilometers at the northern coast of Egypt along the Mediterranean Sea. After his death, Alexandria quickly became the capital of the Ptolemaic kingdom and the most important city of the Greek world. The city was built between the Mediterranean Sea and Lake Rhacotis, which resulted in Alexandria becoming a crucial cultural hub and trade center. Alexandria has main streets. Its main famous artery was the Canopic Way. It was lined with sumptuous buildings, houses and temples and was roughly 8 kilometers in length. This street was one of the most important shipping entrances to Alexandria and often hosted processions and festivals. The width of the street, 30 meters, was abnormally large even by Greek standard. Alexander's plan to build a great city began with a verse from Homer's Odyssey. There is in front of Egypt, in the sea with many swells, an island called Pharos. Gilded by these clues, Alexander the Great founded his future city at the western end of the Nile Delta. Though Alexander considered this location ideal for his great city, it presented considerable challenges. Too difficult to access during storms, the surrounding swamps, threatening diseases, and the limestone soil prevented the growth of healthy crops. However, due to his influence of his mentor Aristotle, Alexander the Great recognized that the true value was its strategic emplacement. A central corridor ran from the Mediterranean's north port to Lake Rhacotis in the south. This thoroughfare acted as an unobstructed link for commercial trade and travel between two ports. Many of the streets were bordered with grand building and parks, including Canopic Street, with its impressive gates bordering the eastern end. Alexandria was most likely built upon an already existing Egyptian village. Upon its completion, the Egyptians reviled the city, refusing to call it by its founder's name. Instead, they called it Rakhid, the building, as a mark of disdain, which was later Hellenized into Rhacotis. Despite this, the name Alexandria would remain. The ports of Alexandria were a major commercial hub, effectively connecting Egypt with the Mediterranean regions and beyond. A tremendous amount of materials and goods flowed through the city on a daily basis. The large port market was called Emporium. It was there that merchandise was traded by the ship owners called nakleros. Food and other artisan work streamed out of Egypt. Ceramics, glass, golden rings, and minted coinage. The local potters, using traditional Egyptian techniques, competed with those from abroad, and the textile industry flourished. What Egypt did not produce itself was acquired through trade using local resources such as wheat and papyrus. Most sought after was pine wood from Syria, iron and marble from the Greek islands, gold from Spain, and exotic fruits from Europe. All this commercial activity contributed to the already decadent wealth of the city. The wood imported to Port Rhacotis through Alexandria's seawood ports was used in the nearby shipyards where most of Egypt's ships were built, employing tens of thousands of shipbuilders. The shipyards contributed to establishing the Egyptian fleet as one of the mightiest of the era. Any wood not used in shipbuilding was further disseminated through Europe for various purposes. The centerpiece of Alexandria's wealth was royal systemization of taxes on almost everything. Basic items such as salt, oil, beer, wheat, and linen were heavily taxed. As a result, the royal treasury of Alexandria was able to ensure the economic stability of most of the administrative areas of Egypt. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was a source of great pride for the inhabitants of the city. Construction began under Ptolemy, the first reign, and lasted 15 years. It was completed during his son's rule. Once completed, the lighthouse was dedicated to the gods for the salvation of those who sail the sea, built on the island of Pharos. Alexandria is the largest city on the Mediterranean. Alexandria is a popular tourist destination and also an important industrial center because of its natural gas and oil pipelines from Suez. Alexandria was founded in 331 BC by Alexander the Great, king of Macedon, the leader of the Greek League of Corinth, during his conquest of the Achaemenid Empire. An Egyptian village named Rhacotis existed at the location and grew into the Egyptian quarter of Alexandria. Alexandria grew rapidly to become an important center of Hellenistic civilization and remained the capital of Ptolemaic Egypt and Roman and Byzantine Egypt for almost 1,000 years until the Muslim conquest of Egypt in AD 641, when a new capital was founded at Fustat, later absorbed into Cairo. Hellenistic Alexandria was best known for the Lighthouse of Alexandria, Pharos, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, its great library, the largest in the ancient world, and the Necropolis, one of the 7 wonders of Middle Ages. Alexandria was the intellectual and cultural center of the ancient Mediterranean world for much of the Hellenistic age and late antiquity. It was at one time the largest city in the ancient world before being eventually overtaken by Rome. The city was a major center of early Christianity and was the center of the Patriarchate of Alexandria, which was one of the major centers of Christianity in the Eastern Roman Empire. In the modern world, the Coptic Orthodox Church and the Greek Orthodox Church of Alexandria both lay claim to this ancient heritage. The history of Alexandria dates back to the city's founding by Alexander the Great in 331 BC. Yet, before that, there were some big port cities just east of Alexandria, at the western edge of what is now Abu Qir Bay. The Canopic, westernmost branch of the Nile Delta, still existed at that time and is widely used for shipping. After its foundation, Alexandria became the seat of the Ptolemaic kingdom and quickly grew to be one of the greatest cities of the Hellenistic world. Only Rome, which gained control of Egypt in 30 BC, eclipsed Alexandria in size and wealth. The city fell to the Arabs in AD 641 and a new capital of Egypt, Fustat, was founded on the Nile. After Alexandria's status as the country's capital ended, it fell into a long decline, which by the late Ottoman period had seen it reduced to little more than a small fishing village. The French army under Napoleon captured the city in 1798, and the British soon captured it from the French, retaining Alexandria within their sphere of influence in 150 years. The city grew in the early 19th century under the industrialization program of Muhammad Ali, the Viceroy of Egypt. The current city is a republic of Egypt's leading port, a commercial, tourism, and transportation center, and the heart of a major industrial area where refined petroleum, asphalt, cotton textiles, processed food, paper, plastics, and styrofoam are produced.